Hello, everyone. This is another Freedom to Feel conversation, and my guest today is Ray Crist. He is a globally recognized leader in yoga and modern shamanism, rooted in the Keto lineage. As the founder of the Jaguar Path School of Modern Shamanism and the Science of Healing, Ray is dedicated to an academic and experiential approach to shamanism in the contemporary world. So this is my brief introduction. The full bio will be at the end of this video and also on the podcast notes. Also because I'm not so good at it, reading these things. So my question that I love asking everyone from the get-go, if you were to introduce yourself, how would you describe what you are?
Who is Ray? That's such a beautiful question, and one we should always ask ourselves. Ray is an ever-evolving student of life. If you'd asked me 20 years ago, I would tell you I was a advertisement photographer. If you asked me 18 years ago, I would tell you that I was a cancer patient. If you'd asked me 15 years ago, I would say I'm a person studying shamanism because through this I'm finding healing. You're asking me now I am a person living a mission of sharing everything that I have learned in life, especially through shamanic work that I've been doing with the Keros. Everything that has helped me understand more of the nature of life, who I am, and how we engage and interact in life. I am the founder of the Jaguar Path, and my mission is to share all this.
Yes. So your story, I wanted to ask that question, but you already mentioned. I love the way you just went through the phases and the story of your life. And then today you're somebody who is sharing the amazing work that you're doing. So shamanism, is that the foundation of what you do, Ray? I know you integrate yoga and qigong too, but would you say the shamanism, is that the foundation of what you do?
The quick answer would be yes. And at the same time, through studying with the shamans, being already in yoga when I started meeting the shamans, I've come to realize that both the shamanic, the yogic practices, and the Tai Chi, Qigong, the Taoism, the whole practice of ancient China, are in essence shamanic. When I started working with shamans, I started
Yeah.
understanding, I knew the word and I thought I knew what shamans were. But coming to meet them and coming to now, especially 17 years later, being almost family with 2 or 3 of these shamans that I've been working with closely,
Yeah.
I have a very different understanding of what shamanism is. And in that sense, I feel that also yoga and Tai Chi movements are shamanic in the sense that they tap into your endocrine system. They become a rudder for one's life, for one's purpose, and especially in the sense that they tap into your biochemistry. So when we do yoga, people say, "Oh, I feel great. I feel great." And if you ask people that do yoga for 5 years or even a decade, they all will say it has changed my life.
Right.
Because one of the things a shaman is someone that is aware, there's some self-awareness, has time for self-reflection, and notices feelings, emotions, thoughts, what is happening, how one is acting, moving, reacting to life. And becoming steady, finding an anchor where things don't overly upset you or overly
Mm.
aggravate you, things that don't
Yeah.
throw you off your balance. How do I learn? How do I know how to come back in that center place in my own balance? And that's the most important thing that shamanism teaches. And again, I find that all the yogic teachings are in direct reference, and absolutely the Taoists, which were the ones that created martial arts, Tai Chi, they created acupuncture. Um, it all, I feel, falls under the umbrella of what the ancient Greeks said, what Socrates said: know thyself, and you shall know the secrets
Mm.
of the whole universe. Know thyself, and you shall know the secrets of the whole universe. And that study of knowing the self is the main point of shamanism, of yoga, of qigong, etc., and other schools also. Beginning to beginning to notice yourself and have self-reflection, awareness, consciousness, and turn that camera, if you want, to feel, especially in the modern world or throughout the centuries, there's a tendency to look outside to what other people are doing, what is happening, and to react to that. The idea to become spiritual is to turn inward and feel your heart. And the big part of it, again, for yoga and shamanism, is that there's a moment you can decide to look inward and look back and actually pay attention to what you feel was traumatizing in life, what you feel is holding you back, what your patterns are, and beginning to do a sincere and vulnerable, take a sincere and vulnerable look into all of that. It feels like many people feel that life is coming on very fast, and we're always taking care of everything external, and answering to everything people outside are saying, and we never take that time to
Mm.
pause life, to stay alone, to look into all of that. That beautiful question you asked: who am I? Who am I at first? For me, like for many, unfortunately, it took a cosmic, what do you call it, cosmic 2x4. I had a cancer diagnosis in 2003 and was given only a few months to live. And that, of course, and at the time, I was a fashion photographer, an advertising photographer. I had a very successful career, which in essence meant 90 hours of work, always,
Right.
and
Right.
a really fast pace. And that brought my whole body to a place of stress, my whole mind. It was like, while it was a successful career, from the outside, my heart was obviously not content. My heart was not happy. I burnt myself out. And that knocking of the door, made me go out to search and find shamans and find healers. And I seek, of course, and this is one of my biggest messages, I seek help both from Western medicine and from the shamans and the yogic medicine and the Tai Chi medicine.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
I think when you're facing something, and it's one of the things I see, when you're facing something, you need to use all the tools that you can find. So I was pushed into this work, and while I was blessed to be able to have a surgery in the National Institute of Health and gave up my right kidney, I still had other tumors and issues that were up, that needed to be solved. And after my surgery, I ventured into Peru and I started working with these shamans. And what they showed me was a very different way, a very different way. And I think the big change happened almost like from hour one when I was there. And I met my beloved teacher, and I can call him brother, I can call him father, I can call him
Mhm.
just very dear to my heart, of course, because he has changed all my life. As I arrived there and I was on my knees, I said to him, please help me. I have cancer. Please heal me. And he looked down at me and he said, I can't heal you, but I can train you to be a shaman and you could heal yourself.
Mm.
And when I was telling him, please help me, and I was giving all my power to him because I believe the shamans are men and women of out of world, this world power. That's what I thought at the time. Um, when he gave me that answer, he took that power was given to him, he took it and gave it back to me. And I stood up. and at that moment, this huge shift happened that very second, where there I was, this person desperate, sad, afraid. There's a lot that happens when you're expecting to die and when you've been diagnosed and you're dying. There's a lot that all the emotions are up. So, but that moment from that state, he turned me into a state of enthusiasm and hope
Mm.
that came from within me. I was able to say, yes, I'm standing on my feet, and yes, I'll be your best student ever. And my whole inner world shifted, and to that, what I really went into studying with them, the tools they use are so deeply psychotherapeutic tools that have a direct effect, not in a general idea of psychology, but like that moment, that shift that he did to me, it has a direct
Right.
effect on the way we think and our emotions as a endocrine reality. So here I was, a cancer patient, being afraid of dying, and living in fear, living in panic, living in all these emotions, and then already had shifted to someone who was more decisive, felt that I had personal power, and that I was going to do my best. So my story already inside my head had changed, and when that happened, the whole chemistry of my body changed. All my seven main glands,
Mm.
my seven chakras, already started spinning differently. I was producing different hormones in my body, different chemistry. One now that wasn't feeding fear, anger, anxiety, was not feeding the cancer, but one that had hope, that had calm, that had trust, and had faith. Had faith that I
Mm.
could do this. I could do this.
Wow. Wow, you said so much there, amazing things. Yes. Yes, a billion times to being open, right? To the unknown, to going deeper. That's exactly what you did. So being open is so crucial. Do you invite or do you also work with terminally ill people with stage 4
My
cancer now?
my main work is in teaching people how to become shamans.
Mm,
Exactly like Don Francisco, the first moment I was there, uh, I teach people how to heal themselves. And
yes.
there are many cases in our school in the Jaguar Path, the 9-month training we do, that we have people that have cancer and they're working with it. And we've had amazing success stories and wonderful shifts and changes. And we have a biggest amount of people who come that are doctors, they're therapists, they're yoga teachers, instructors.
Mm,
They're people that work in the healing, scientists, body workers, etc. People that are ready to change because change is the key word, and change in a state of
uh-huh.
mind. And you know, what I came to understand is that we all live within a context, within a paradigm. So for our mind to create reality, for me, for you to know, it's like, what is my reality? Who is Ray? You know, who
Yeah.
am I as a
Yeah.
father? Who am I as a husband? Who am I as a teacher? Who am I as a student? Um, it's important to understand how we do that internal thinking, how we come into the internal thinking. And what I mean by this, one of the main things that I've learned is that we all have in our head at least two voices. Some people say, I have a whole committee, but we have at least two
Right.
voices.
Yes.
And these two voices, one I call the shaman, and the other the narrator. And they're both who we are, but the narrator is that person that says, okay, where am I now? You know, I'm here with Valeria, I'm speaking, there's a voice inside me that is narrating what is happening every moment, and qualifies that in relationship to the collective consciousness. What would other people do? What
Mm,
does that
mm,
friend think of this? What does Facebook say? What does the collective say? And we use this to a certain degree, this voice inside us, the that narrates, the narrator, is useful, but it's really something that we cultivate in our childhood and in our teen years. We kind of decide where we place ourselves in life. where we place ourselves in a society, in the micro society of elementary school and high school, and then our first years in college or the workforce, wherever we're at. We're trying to establish a I am. And what we use to do this are tools and images that everyone else knows. So we try to impersonate, if you want. Oh, I want to be a photographer. I'll be a teacher, and we get into these roles, and 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 that's why when you ask me who I am now, I'm an always evolving person, and
Mm,
student
mm,
of life, and always will be to the last breath. Um, but back to what I was saying, when we start relying on the narrator, because it's created in relationship to the collective and to what is outside, also has a lot of the judgment and the comparison and
yeah.
I'll say the lack of consciousness, but I'll stick to the judgment and comparison because that voice, that narrator inside us is the one that makes us doubt ourselves, is the one that says, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I don't have enough money, my house is not big enough. Whatever, anything that you think of, whenever you catch yourself thinking, and it's a negative, doubting voice, that's the voice of the narrator.
Mm,
It's louder because everyone around speaks that same language. But if you get quiet, or if you're forced to, or like I was forced to, be in spaces alone with a shaman, spending days alone, or if you decide to and you go into a silent retreat, or you go into a retreat where you allow yourself time to expand, allow time to expand, and step out of the role as a father, as a husband, as a teacher, whatever each one of us is, step out of the role and
yeah.
be in that quietness, then you can start hearing this quieter, deeper voice that is the you, that is the essence, the soul of you. And that voice is always kind, is always compassionate, is always all knowing. That voice is that sage you can find. And I went and I was looking outside of me, and that turn, that moment, and both Don Francisco and another beloved a teacher, Maestro Panduro, and I'll share a very similar story with Maestro Panduro. But what they taught me is to, instead of looking outside, to begin to look inside. And that
Mm,
has shifted my entire life, from the most simple thing to the most complicated things. It's like now, if I get a cough, if I'm sneezing, I'll know before I take medicine to make some ginger and honey, make some lemon. If I'm not feeling well, I'm gonna, instead of saying what pill do I need to take, I pause and say, well, what did I eat yesterday? How was my sleep? What is making me feel this way right now? And instead of again putting it out to someone else to give me a magic pill or a magic answer,
mm,
I do the inner research and I do that work first. And again, here I want to say something that I feel is really big because you said it's about stepping forward, and being open. Having worked for over 15 years at Kripalu Center for Yoga and Health, meeting thousands of people, I've realized, I came to a realization that there's almost like, feel like two groups of people: those who, the materialists, if you want, and they believe in only Western medicine and technology, and then there's the spiritual people, if you want, that believe in natural medicine and practices that do not involve at all chemistry or technology. I believe that
right.
both are the humans' strife for health and well-being throughout the centuries. And I see people again that they're materialists say, "Oh, I don't want to hear about the word shaman. I don't want to hear about yoga. I don't know who does yoga." And and I say, "Well, be open-minded." And at the same time, I hear other people that say, I'm not going to ever do surgery. I'm not going to take Western medicine." I say, "Be open-minded. Be open-minded,
Mm,
because what
yes.
we do, the
Yes.
practices, uh, all help our body, our endocrine system, our immune system, our clarity of mind. It'll help us be in a optimal state. And if something happens, and things happen in life, to all of us, from accidents to getting sick to getting ill to getting old. But if we can be in that optimal space, then we're already
Yeah.
helping ourselves. And there is a moment that there is absolutely a time and a moment to turn to Western medicine, which has evolved amazingly, and with discernment and not giving up our power, but with discernment and clarity, use those parts that we need. For me, if I hadn't done the surgery, it's really clear that I would not be here today. But it's also very clear to me that if I hadn't worked with the shamans and changed who I was, I would not be here today. If I had done that surgery or series of surgeries and then went to that life of frenzy of 20-hour days of what brought me to cancer, the answer is simply it would bring me back to cancer. So there's a great realization I feel here to take, take our health and our thoughts in our own hands.
Yeah.
Um, and if that hadn't hit home, I went down into the jungle and I met this wonderful medicine man that I worked with and I considered to be a big part of my healing, absolutely, by the name of Maestro Panduro. And at this point, after having traveled with an airplane, with a bus, with a boat, walked in the jungle to find him, I was I was tired and I was still in a place of despair. And I had several breakdowns, and once again, I'm here and I'm finding this person that I was told can help me. So I was on my knees, this time crying, perhaps wailing, and saying, "Help me, I have a 2 year old son back home. He will never know his father." And he looked down at me and he said, he put his hand, he liked to stop me right in front of me, and he said, "Listen, I don't care about my own emotions. What makes you think I'm going to care about your emotions?"
Wow.
And I was taken aback. I was totally taken aback. I'm like, thousand things are going through my mind at that moment. My God, where am I? I'm in
Yeah.
the middle of nowhere. I will die in the jungle. They'll probably push me in a ditch. No one will ever know where I am. I'm getting up. I'm thinking, this is not a spiritual person. This is not a person that's going to help me. I'm wiping my eyes from the tears. And I'm inhaling to take a breath to say, well, I'm leaving or something. I was not sure exactly what I was going to say. But at the moment I'm in that inhale and I'm standing in front of him and uh, kind of leaning in too, he leaned,
Yeah.
put his hand out and put his hand on my shoulder and said, "Bravo, hermanito. Good, hermanito, my little brother. I see now you're ready to do the work. It takes standing on your feet. No one can do it for you. And it is something that is magnificent about it because the moment you stand on your feet,
Mm.
you have all the power. You have all the power.
Yes.
You step out of the
Yeah.
victim mentality that and the weakness to the I am, and I'm tapping into a courageous heart. And
Mm.
that's what the courageous person is. The heroes of the stories. The heroes of the stories are not big and strong and fast from the beginning. What makes them heroes is that there were a moment that they were on their knees and losing everything. And that hero's journey is what we all need to step into at some point of our life. And it is wonderful to see how life changes because life is all inside. And it took me a very long time to
Mm.
understand
Yeah.
many of my teachers saying that nothing's happening outside, it's all happening inside. And I'm like, no, I'm seeing it. It's out there. It's happening out there.
Yes.
And it is not.
Yeah.
What is happening, the only thing happening is how I am feeling about what is surrounding me, what I'm feeling.
Yes.
And when we lean into and assume responsibility and stand on our feet, in our vulnerability and with allies, it doesn't mean that you become alone and you have to carry the weight of the world. No, with allies, with friends, with supporters. But when we do that and we stand on our feet, everything begins to shift in the outside. Everything becomes very, very different. And we begin to see what needs to change. We talk with the Keros Nations people with the work that we do through the Jaguar Path, the training. We go through these 3 trimesters in this 9-month training. We meet 1 week in a month. And these 3 trimesters are based on what is called the Inca trilogy, based on 3 power animals of the Incas: the serpent, the jaguar, and the condor. And a serpent is a moment where you learn the lesson of, again, shedding your skin and letting go of the past. In other words, looking back to trauma and dealing with it. And again, with a support system, with tools, with witnesses, with others that are around you, surrounding you with what we say acceptance, admiration, and affection. Acceptance, admiration, and affection. As we all lick our wounds, as we all heal our wounds. And then in the second trimester, we move into the Jaguar. And the Jaguar is exactly there. Jaguar is about, that trimester is about way of thinking. You know, the Jaguar is the most powerful cat in the world. It is the king of the jungle. It is at the top of the food chain. Being on the top of the food chain, the Jaguar never looks over its shoulder to see if there's someone following. They're never, it would be foolish to do that. No one follows or stalks the Jaguar. So knowing no fear, the Jaguar moves with an amazing way in life, both with softness, that it holds in its paws, and with power and strength and directness that it has in its claws. And it teaches us to think that way, because if you think about it, for most of us, if you think about it, what is one of the most important factors that lead our thoughts? If you look behind everything, you will see that fear is number one motivator of how I decide things and when I decide to do them. So the Jaguar teaches us to begin to think without fear. Not without fear of consequences, but rather with discernment and knowing, so to weigh out each decision, but then again, not to sit in that decision for too long. Make the decision and then pounce, commit, engage, move in life. And that part I find fascinating, the second trimester, in the sense that that is the biggest shift that we can find in the way we're thinking, because our brains are awesome on one hand, but they can be very tricky. They're awesome because one of the things that they do is they collect information from everywhere around them. Like my mind collects all the information.
Oh,
The
yes.
thing is that when I've collected all the information of the Western world and all the information of Facebook and Instagram and all the information of what's available to me, I only have collective consciousness information. So I will basically have only that
Collective.
information
Yeah.
of the weak person that needs to ask for help outside, that needs to be accepted, have those likes or not likes, or dependent on the outside. And what the beauty is when you begin to collect this information about how our emotions work, and just to tap back into that moment with Maestro Panduro, when he said, "I don't care about my emotions," he didn't mean that he wasn't caring towards me. But he meant that I am thinking above my emotional world. So I'm noticing I am angry. Okay, why am I angry? What do I need to do? What is needed to be resolved? I am sad. What do I need to resolve it? I am not allowing an emotion to hijack the rest of my nervous system, my motor system, and of course my behavior towards the outside world.
Right. Right.
And then through these tools, we reach that third trimester into Condor, where when we can reach above, when we can rise above our own thinking and be conscious and aware of the thoughts as they arise, and especially the emotions as they arise, and you feeling that secretion of that hormone in your blood flow. It could be anger, it could be sadness, whatever it is, to become aware of it the moment it is born and the moment you're feeling it run in your veins, before it is that hormone that feeds your brain, right? Because once that comes through the blood flow, let's say anger, for example, and you may have noticed that most of the emotions spiral upwards and sometimes even out of control, but they build up. So the idea is when I'm feeling something that triggers me, it is important for me to notice it then when it's I heard the trigger go off. I'm feeling anger arising.
Right.
Why am I feeling it? Not looking outside of who is making me angry and immediately saying, well, that person made me angry for this reason, so they must be to blame. And I will tell everyone I'm angry at this person. But rather, what do I need to do? And once I come into that inner voice, I rise above, like the condor, in discernment. And I can rise above and out of the
Mm.
emotion, and I can look around me. What is the situation? What are the people? Who is next to me? Who's in front of me? What do I need to do for not myself this moment, but for myself tomorrow or the day after that, down that destiny line? Who am I? Like you asked at the beginning. Who am I in this moment?
Yeah.
We may get triggered because someone may say something against our favorite football team, or maybe someone says something against yoga that I love. And with shamanism, it
Right.
is important to notice the trigger and to remember that nothing outside needs our defense. Yoga stands alone for centuries, or the teams and all the sports, they're out there. I am not here to defend things, but rather to stay in my center. And perhaps even more so from that space, maybe I can be a light of love in that moment as it's evolving. Feel that trigger instead of triggering me to be upset, to be a reminder that this is an opportunity to overcome that and use that energy that I received instead of fueling anger to fuel
Mm.
light, love, and compassion in that moment. We're shamans and we choose to. We can heal a moment, we can heal an interaction that is happening. We always are basically doing those two things. We're either healing something
Right.
or we're adding fuel to what is not healed, right?
Yeah. So, what is the purpose of the human experience? Would you say just work everything that we need to work within the body, mind levels, and what's next? Do you actually think about what could happen to the fragmented mind, or do we continue to live and come back in different bodies to have different experiences until we have completely understood what this is all about? How do you see this idea of purpose?
And that is such a beautiful question. I'm going to say that we can choose to live a life with a purpose or not.
Mm, yeah.
For most, like I was saying earlier, I feel that we try to fill in a role and we play a role, that of what work we do or what all the things that we do and not who we are. I feel that life, for me at least, my experience so far is that it's definitely a battleground and a place that we're learning. We're out in the field and there's thorns and there's bushes and there's trees and it's cold and it's hot. There are elements out there.
Right. Oh yeah.
And I feel the big difference is that I'm not going to say what happens after, although I've reached close and although I've had out of body experiences and a sense of the spirit world, I would say that what is most important is who am I now? And who am I now? Every now that unfolds.
Mm,
The most important thing is as we're living life now and we know it as we know it, with a name we each have and the roles we play, to remember the most important thing is to remember to be on purpose, to remember to have a mission, remember to have studies in the fields of the spirituality as a guiding line, as a rudder in life, or else life can quickly become meaningless and very confusing and very alienating.
yes.
So I do believe that we're here to be students, and it's not always easy, but there is nothing more interesting because we're either going to live a surface life of what is referred to as yoga, samsara, or the samsara hala, the samsara is, if you want, and at least as I understand it, is a life of illusion. And it's made up from society, depending on the society you're born in, your ethnicity, your color, your gender. You're given already an idea of this is your reality, this is the box you're going to play in, this is who you're going to be. And that's just not true. The life itself is something greater, beyond genders, beyond ethnicities, beyond, and it is a soul experience. And it can be a soul experience and can be lived deeper and in a much more essential fulfillment if you live it on purpose and on mission. On purpose and on mission. When we begin to serve, either life is in that space where I was saying before, on my knees, and everything was the outside and as what I want or what I need. And that's a life of samsara, that's a life of difficulty and being lost, to shifting and saying, well, first of all, it's not about me. Once I look in the deeper me and I heal myself, how can I step into the role of this being about everyone else around me? So stepping from a place of I want to the place of how can I serve? And that moment, life becomes purposeful and makes a sense, or makes makes a, I was trying to call it, Carl Jung named it wonderfully. He said all this work is what he called uncommon sense.
Yeah.
Because again,
Yeah.
common sense, we see where the common sense has led the planet, and people talk about level-headed and being this or that, and all these systems that we've created have essentially bring us there. So uncommon sense is what needs to step in. And that's what I feel, and I know we share. It's just through the trainings and through our work. It's about beginning to look at the world in a very different way, to understand. I think with step one, look at yourself. Step one, begin to love yourself. And one thing still, Don Francisco keeps on telling me almost every time we meet and every time we're with other students, it's like, you have to love yourself. And that is common to all the teachings. Christ, the Buddha, Krishna, it's common to all the teachings. And when I started, I thought I loved myself, but when I started going deeper and deeper into this work, I understood love, and I understand love in a very different way. And I understand now that it's important when I wake up in the morning to love myself, with whatever that means, to take care of myself, to brush my teeth, to prepare, to make sure everything's in place, to take care of myself. And through that love for myself, I can then take care of everyone around me. Be a better father, be a better husband, be a better teacher, be a better student. And having that rudder again of spirituality, that this every moment that unfolds is not here for me to take. We have this beautiful, but it's here for me as an opportunity to give. And even that love, talking about love, even the romantic love, I was there outside in the world looking for love, and many of us are, but we forget that we are love. We are love. The moment that you can turn that light inside you, that light of love inside you, you can start beaconing love. We all know how to do it. When you see a cat, when you see a dog wagging its tail, you immediately feel it flooding your body. And that goes to a deeper place, more than the cuteness. That cat or that dog or that person are triggering something that is so deep and so innate. That is the absolute, call it, best place to be, the optimal hormonal state of being. Being in awe, being grateful, and being willing, being with an open heart. There's a beautiful ceremony that is called the Aini
Yes.
Despacho. Actually,
Yes, I have
Thanksgiving,
heard.
for
I
Thanksgiving, our beloved teachers are coming to Greece,
yeah.
and they will be offering an Aini Despacho for Thanksgiving. And the Aini Despacho is a ceremony where we offer flowers, we offer all sorts of beans and rice and corn. We give all these gifts. We create a package,
Yeah.
that we send off to Mother Earth. And what I loved about it, and love about it to the days that I first learned about it, learned about it is that we give thanks for the things that are going to come. We don't give thanks for the things that have already arrived. We, of course, are
Mm,
grateful for everything that's already arrived and we have, but that openness and that state of being in awe and grateful for the gifts that you can receive in life, being in that state of openness, when you offer that, your whole endocrine reality changes. And I keep on saying this, I talk about endocrine reality and emotions. And what I want to make really clear, and this is what we do through the trainings, is that we make it very, very clear, is like everything that when I look outside of me, through my eyes, what I hear, what I see, what I'm feeling around me, is first and foremost already steeped in the chemistry that I am living in.
mm,
Right?
yeah,
We're already moving
yeah.
around, and I can ask this question to anyone. It's like, what's your predisposition? Well, how are you right now? So if someone says boo, are you going to laugh and crack up and say, oh, that was funny? Or are you going to jump and be scared and be angry? It's like, whatever happens, is not, and that's what we're saying about life is happening inside. So it's important for us.
Mm,
This is something I feel we've missed. I don't know if it would be prejudiced or correct to say somehow we've missed in the Western world. So we're beyond abundance. We're in this space of over everything, over consuming, over producing, there is this
right.
place that we're overwhelmed with emotions and living in that place can only allow you to feel a life that is of need or difficulty. But if we can turn inward and be that love, be the love, then everything around us changes. And it changes in a wonderful way. You become more trustworthy to others. Others are more keen to lean in and ask you a question, or more even willing to help in the project you're doing. You're not the person that is asking for help, you're the person giving help. And you find allies. And basically, you begin to see, when you look outward, you see other things. You're not seeing what you're lacking. You're not seeing what you wish you had. You're seeing everything that is coming your way.
Right.
Like the wonderful Sufi poet Hafiz says, there's so many unopened gifts, my dear, under your bed. It's like waking up
Mm,
and knowing,
yeah, that's a beautiful one. Yeah. Yes. Oh my God, Ray, there's so much wisdom within what you do. It's incredible. Like love, gratitude, looking within. It has to start there, of course. Love for self, that's a big one that we overlook, we forget. So I want to go back to the training. So it starts November 16th, right?
Correct. Correct. This starts on the 16th and it is a weekend. So it's 9 weekends. We begin
Oh,
from November to June. It's one weekend per month. And that is our first weekend session where we start with the blessings of Don Francisco. Don Francisco and his beautiful wife, Dona Juana, will be there to bless the beginning of our path into this journey of self exploration, personal empowerment, finding clarity. And
yeah.
again, we meet every weekend. We begin the mornings with yoga and Tai Chi. Saturdays, we do light yoga for everyone, even if you're a beginner or if you're advanced. Um, and Sundays, we do Tai Chi. Having cleared our body, stretched our bodies, calmed our nervous system, opened our hearts through the physical practice, we then in the afternoons lean into the shamanic tools. And again, I teach them. When I was into my third year of apprenticeship with Don Francisco, he said to me, "Okay, now has come the time for you to teach this." And I was taken aback because I didn't feel that I had any power or any knowledge. I said, "Me? How can I teach this?" It's like, and he turned around to me and with his beautiful, sweet, loving humor, as always, he said, "Teach it in English.
Yeah.
Teach it in English." So what I mean by that is that what I look into and the tools that I've chosen to include in this 9 month training and this 9 weekends are all the tools that I felt were really powerful and played an essential role in my change, in changing who I was and changing how I am and in my overall health. Absolutely. And what I was necessary in what I'm sharing is I'm teaching it in English in the sense that uh, I'm not teaching and I'm not asking for anyone to have some faith of an extra human power, but rather we teach the mechanisms behind these tools, the mechanisms behind the magic.
Right.
It's like, how does this tool work? You know, Carl Jung, the great philosopher and the great therapist, uh, did a lot of the work with shamans in Africa and brought it back. And he names
Yeah.
this, along with the
Yeah.
Tao Te Ching, he names this uncommon sense. And he leans into this psychotherapeutic power that they have. And for me, the power of helping me going through a difficult divorce that I was going through, how I could cut cords with this person, the power of looking back into trauma that I had in childhood and reaching in and finding where is that stored in my body? What contractions is it creating? Why did this happen to my kidneys? What was happening in my liver? Understanding emotions and how the mechanisms will work behind all the healing process and after healing, the empowerment process of stepping forward.
I love that you're coming from your own experience. Yeah, you applied, right, knowledge and experience. Of course, you're bringing all this forth.
Absolutely. And one thing I share with everyone is that Nina, my beloved wife, and I, who teach this together, we make it really clear from the beginning that we do not hold any superhuman powers, that we are as
Right,
powerful as everyone else is on that screen, on that Zoom screen, our beloved tribe, our community that gathers. It's a matter of knowing thyself, understanding
mm,
important mechanisms and how emotions work and how we can navigate life in a very different way.
right. So that's another message that's very powerful in itself. So people are not looking to be healed by somebody else, by you, but learning how to become their own healers, which we all are innately. So yes, yeah, and I love that because that brings the power back, right? And I see that clearly. That's one of the main issues with the reality now, our shared reality, that we are just behaving almost like children, that looking out there for parents, people to
Yeah,
parent us, mothers and fathers. I see this so clearly. And it's cute and all, but it doesn't help, right? It's creating a lot more unnecessary suffering.
yeah.
So I really appreciate what you're doing, you and Nina. It's
We're
beautiful.
looking for parents and we're looking for people to blame for our state of being, either
That too.
our psychology or our thinking or our health, rather than looking inward and becoming the parent.
Mm,
I think that's it's right on. I feel that you could say in the Jaguar Path, you learn how to be your own parent.
yeah,
You reach back into childhood and you take care of things as if you were the parent, looking back at your child self, saying, "I'm that broken person." You go back as a grown up and say, "Hey, beloved little Ray, hey, let me help you. I'm here for you," and just heal
yeah.
those things.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. It's one of the things that I had to learn. It's psychology too. So reparenting, yeah, that's one of was on my path to I had to learn that early on. So I want to mention the website. So jaguarpath.com. It will be on the podcast notes and also on Instagram. I have your Instagram handle here. So the Jaguar Path, both of them. So we can find everything there. Is there anything that you left unsaid, Ray, about the training, Modern Shamanism and the Science of Healing? It starts November 16th, 17th. That's online. So go to jaguarpath.com. Is there anything else that you left unsaid about that?
I'll just share that all the people that have come through a training, all say hands up. It's a life changing training. It's a life changing training. And although we hear a lot of that as a cliche or as a word out there for trainings, this is uh, this is a lasting
Mm,
change. This is a lasting change. It changes the core of how we think and who we are. And once you understand, and once you even hear these ways of thinking, you cannot unhear them, and changes then happen. anything that you've been wanting to change, that you've been afraid to change, you haven't had the power or the support to change, all of this comes to the forefront. And with acceptance, admiration, and affection, with a group of people that stand together as witnesses to one another, we all witness each other grow up, grow and find strength and find that the courage and find that place of rising into, hey, how can I help now on the other side?
Yes. It's truly beautiful. Yeah. Thank you again for what you're doing, you and Nina, to being open to this extent. It's truly, truly amazing. So
Thank
I also want to mention the retreats, right? It's in Greece. Oh, that looked amazing. That's so inviting too. I was looking at it like, oh my God, that would be incredible.
Yes, this Thanksgiving, or November 23rd to 30th, Don Francisco Flores, his wife, Donna Juana, and their beloved friend, Don Wilbert, will be here. And we will be visiting some ancient sites as healers of a eons, century-old lineage. I am just absolutely so looking forward to share with these people and my teachers who I visited Machu Picchu and all these ancient temples there. I'm looking forward to share with them the temples of Greece, Hippocrates, Asclepius, the first medicine men of Western medicine, and the ancient wisdom of healing.
So my last question for you, what is, just to close our conversation for today, what is your idea of freedom? What is to be free?
The most important freedom in this life is to be free of your emotions, to be the one guiding your emotions, and not to be enslaved by your emotions. The only freedom, the biggest freedom we can have, is that. Freedom is emotional and emotional well-being and balance, and living, as I said earlier, living in awe, living in gratitude, living in this state of awe.
Yeah.
That is freedom. Freedom of everything else that is society built and collective consciousness driven and etc. To be in your heart and be free.
Yes. Thank you so much for your wisdom,
Valeria,
timeless wisdom.
thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you, Ray. Yeah. What's not to love about everything that you represent? Thank you. And we'll be in touch again. This interview will be published soon, and then I'll let you know. But for now, take good care of your beautiful self, and we'll talk soon. We'll be in touch.